5 races tonight we've been watching very closely. 5 winners projected, all 5 women. Let's go through. First, Arkansas. Tonight, Blanche Lincoln, the incumbent Democrat, she wins the nomination, beating Bill Halter. In California, the gubernatorial contest, Meg Whitman, the ex-eBay CEO, she wins. She'll face Jerry Brown, the Democrat, in November. In California, for the Senate, Carly Fiorina, the ex-Hewlett-Packard CEO, she wins. She'll face Barbara Boxer in November. In South Carolina, Nikki Haley, she gets the most vote, but she didn't get 50% plus 1. She could face a runoff against Gresham Barrett, who came in second, unless he decides to drop out. Nikki Haley would have that runoff in 2 weeks if necessary. And finally, in Nevada, Sharon Angle, who's got a lot of support from the Tea Party movement, she will face Harry Reid in November, the Senate Majority Leader. A dramatic win for Sharon Angle. Let's discuss this with Errol Louis. He's a CNN contributor. He's a columnist for the New York Daily News. He's here in D.C. And John Avlon is also joining us, our CNN contributor, senior political columnist for thedailybeast.com, also the author of the excellent book, Wingnuts, How the Lunatic Fringe is hijacking. Remind me, hijacking what?
America.
That's correct. All right, John Avlon's got a good book. Errol Louis is a smart guy, too. John, first to you. What do you think, first of all, 5 key races, 5 women win?
It's great. It's overdue. I don't think this is the year of the women headline, though. I mean, each of the women who've won represent something different. I think the big headline, if you look at, I think, the 2 biggest races, Blanche Lincoln's come-from-behind victory. I mean, she's Lazarus in this one. People are writing her political obituary. She's back. And Whitman and Fiorina, I think the headline really is the center strikes back. These are big wins from a centrist Democrat and a centrist Republican, and that shows a counter push, a push against some of the wins we've seen in recent weeks and months.
What's your immediate interpretation, Errol, of what's going on?
Well, in Arkansas, I tell you, the turnout in Pulaski County, where the black vote is concentrated,
that's Little Rock, right?
Yeah. Actually made the difference here. I mean, and if you go back to the shot that you had when you had her talking about her victory, Blanche Lincoln, surrounded by what looked like her black base. And it's a very interesting split, I think, between the labor base, which poured $10 million into this and made it a top national priority.
For Bill Halter, who lost.
For Bill Halter, and Blanche Lincoln just took a different part of the Democratic base. So,
do you agree Bill Clinton, who campaigned for Blanche Lincoln, still has the magic touch in Arkansas?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's national. I mean, you've got to understand that when Democrats don't work together, they're not going to win. I think that's a big wake-up call to them nationally. And if labor and other parts of the Democratic base don't get it together, they're in for a lot of trouble. Because let's keep in mind, Blanche Lincoln is going to have a very tough time in the general election.
John, is it going to help or hurt her if the President of the United States comes into Arkansas? I assume it's going to help her dramatically if Bill Clinton comes into Arkansas. But what about Barack Obama?
Well, I think Bill Clinton's a bigger boost in Arkansas than Barack Obama. But you got to remember a couple things. First of all, Blanche Lincoln's seat has been held by a Democrat for over 130 years. And yes, the state's been trending Republican and conservative. But she's got a strong claim to make. I mean, she's clearly claimed the center here. She's been attacked from the left. In some ways, that helps her with independent voters who are skeptical of a Democrat being too attached either to the administration or the left wing of the Democratic Party. She's got her centrist bona fides. I mean, big labor took a big swing and a miss against her today. $10 million spent. She's still standing. Big
setback for big labor, Errol, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the White House is putting out messages saying that they basically threw away $10 million. It could have been better spent doing other things around the country, which is probably true. They're going to have to patch up some of the hurt feelings that came out of this.
All right, let's talk about California for a moment. John, first to you. Carly Fiorina, she's going to be facing Barbara Boxer in November. A lot of money is going to be spent in California. It's going to be a tough battle.
It is. It's going to be a fascinating race because it's a really, I mean, you've got Barbara Boxer, liberal Democrat, 3-term incumbent, surprisingly vulnerable, facing probably the toughest challenge she's had. And you've got the Republican Party putting forward 2 women at the top of their ticket. You know, Whitman for governor, Fiorina for Senate. That's a big deal. It sends a real message. And the Republican Party is only 30% of the electorate in California. They need to appeal to independent voters, over 20% of the electorate, to get across the top. Whitman's got the ability to do that. We'll see if Fiorina does, especially in contrast to Boxer. The Republicans should feel good tonight about where they are in a state that's not been hospitable to them for a long time.
As you know, Errol, midterm elections, you got to get turnout. You got to energize that base. Who's going to be more energized in California now that we know the contests for the governor's race and for the Senate race?
Well, the Republicans, I think, are going to be very charged up because this is, in some ways, their last gasp. I mean, and that proposition is really more to the point.
Proposition 14.
Proposition 14. I mean, what that's really about, just as John pointed out, they're a shrinking minority, and they're not going to make a comeback unless they got a rules change, and it appears that they've gotten it, where they can sort of, if they can make it into a runoff, they'll have a shot. If it were party politics as usual, it would be a blue state from top to bottom, and you'd have a sprinkling of members of Congress and some members of the state legislature, and that would be it.
I want both of you to weigh in on Nikki Haley, who's getting the most votes for the Republican nomination, the gubernatorial nomination in South Carolina to succeed Mark Sanford. Stand by. We'll be right back. Nikki Haley gets the most votes for the Republican gubernatorial nomination in South Carolina, but didn't get 50% plus one, so she could face a runoff in 2 weeks against Gresham Barrett. John Avlon, what do you think about this? She's had some controversy. Two men say they had an extramarital affair. She flatly denies it. She gets the most votes in this Republican gubernatorial primary.
She does. I mean, I love South Carolina, but its politics have looked like a circus for a while. But this is actually an extraordinary story. Separate the innuendo and the rumors for a second. Appreciate this. 38-year-old woman, first elected in 2004, protege of Governor Sanford, comes and gets 49 and change % of the race. Indian American. Also, that's significant. This place is, the Republican Party is in a position to field 2 Indian American Southern governors. Now, that's an extraordinary thing, and it's a great step towards more diversity in American politics. Not over yet. We'll see if there is a runoff or if the second candidate drops out, saying he won't right now. But a very strong showing by someone who was really unknown in South Carolina politics at the beginning of a decade ago.
Yeah, Indian American governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jindal. We're talking about somebody whose parents came from the subcontinent, not American Indian. She did show a dramatic, impressive win, even though she didn't get the 50% plus one vote she needed to avoid a runoff.
And interestingly enough, even as these innuendo, these rumors came up, she handled it the way a male politician would be proud to handle it. She was very forceful. She rebutted it. It was the talk of the town. It probably helped her more than it hurt her in the end, just because it boosted her visibility and name recognition. We're seeing a different kind of woman politics out there.
In Nevada, John, Sharon Angle, the darling of the Tea Party movement there, she captures the Republican senatorial nomination, sort of like Rand Paul did in Kentucky. She'll face Harry Reid. What do you think?
Major upset against the establishment candidate, Sue Loudon. Again, an extraordinary story. Somebody who really was propelled by the Tea Party movement, didn't have a full-time staffer as of May, started out with just over $100,000 in the bank. A major upset, but here's the cautionary tale that comes with the Tea Party momentum. After the BP oil spill, as Americans are taking this in, are the people really going to want to vote for a candidate who favors abolishing the Department of Energy and the EPA? So that's one of the real challenges that she's going to be facing coming this general election. Harry Reid, very vulnerable. We've seen Senate Democratic leaders taken out before, like Tom Daschle, but he may have really gotten a win by having Sharon Angle instead of Sue Loudon to face in the fall.
What do you think, Errol?
Absolutely. This is a clear victory for the Tea Party. As with everything with the Tea Party, it's not clear whether or not it's going to work out for them. They had a string of defeats, by the way, in Virginia. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that tonight. But the Tea Party folks are going to be characterized as extremists. That's Reid's really only hope. And I think he's probably pretty satisfied that he got the opponent he wanted.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to work hard between now and November if he wants to stay as the Senate Majority Leader. Guys, thanks very much, Errol Louis and John Avlon. Stay with CNN for complete coverage. I'll be back tomorrow in the Situation Room. Larry King will be back tomorrow. His special guest, Oliver Stone, tomorrow. Our coverage continues right now. Anderson Cooper 360 starts.